the two-hand hammer. Dan scoops and scores with 2.7 to go in the pit. Now he rips it with a right hand. The fans can feel it now. It's a Lobo celebration in Vegas.
This is the Lobo Pod with the voice of the Lobos, Robert Portnoy.
Hello again, Lobo fans, and welcome into another edition of your Lobo Pod. I'm your host, Robert Portnoy. With preseason basketball practice just around the corner, it's my privilege to welcome in the head coach for University of New Mexico men's basketball, Richard Pitino. Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing good. Haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
Been trying to hide from you a little bit. Let football do their deal and conference realignment and all that. And but it's been good. You know, we're up and running. We really start full go next week. But we've been practicing 4 days a week. We've been on the recruiting trail in a big way. Excited about, building off of the momentum that we have right now.
Fans who follow social media saw you got a nice little commitment. How has the recruitment trail gone?
It's different. I mean, it's substantially different. And we are fortunate, I think, right now that we've had success. Players have done well. The style of play is appealing. The pit, the fan base, the attendance, the winning is great. So, I mean, there's certainly different dynamics, and it's definitely more it's always been complicated, and that's every walk of life. There's something like that. But it's like in the movie Moneyball, I always think about it, adapt or die. And so we're fortunate that we've got really good support, and we got to, in order to keep up with the Joneses, we've got to be as aggressive as possible. And recruiting's going well. I think guys see the brand and they want to be a part of it.
Great movie, by the way. Jonah Hill's character kills me every time.
Terrific, yeah. Terrific.
Awesome. Okay, so adapt or die. Regarding recruiting, two things, the transfer portal, and then we must talk about NIL because 505sports.org is one of the first things, I'm sure, out of your mouth, out of your entire staff's mouths, when they get a chance to sit down with recruits, what's the first question they're asking? I'm betting it's, what do you have for NIL?
No, it's not the first. It's going to be asked. Let's put it like that. It's really hard because you're not allowed to use it as a recruiting inducement, right? But it's such a gray area, and you can talk about what guys have been paid and so on and so forth. So it's always coming up. Maybe it comes up sooner with transfers. High school kids act like, they want to see the library, they want to see campus, this and that, and at the 11th hour they want to talk about all that. But, for us, I never want a kid to come here because of NIL. I really don't. But with that being said, without Kurt and what he's been able to start and the community engagement and the community buy-in that we've had with that, it would be very, very challenging to progress and to compete. I think our people need to understand, and I think every coach, people get so mad when coaches talk about it, but, it's the rich are going to get richer, and you have to find a way to continue to go up every single year. And so we're very, very fortunate for Kurt, his people, and all the supporters because we feel like we have a lot that money can't buy. Fan base, the pit, a great basketball situation. But if you don't have NIL, you're in a lot of trouble. And you're seeing right now football. Tennessee is charging for a talent fee or whatever. I mean, there's programs that have a lot of money. It's just the name of the game, and you got to be able to do it.
Yeah, you're talking about that talent fee, attaching it to ticket prices going up in Knoxville. It's a crazy new world. There's no doubt about it. Kurt Roth, 505sports.org, if you want to get involved with the Lobos official collective and raise some NIL money.
Yeah, and I think not to cut you off, but I don't know our exact number of season ticket holders. My guess it's 8,000. You clearly are invested in our program. Right? I mean, you are paying a fee to go to the games, and we greatly, greatly appreciate that. And that affects everybody. But take ownership of the program. I think when we first started it, Kurt made the analogy of the Green Bay Packers. And we want our fans and the ones that give money to feel like stakeholders and, to feel a part of it. And it's scary for a coach because if you have a bad year and you're begging people for money, that's an issue, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, compete, go out and compete. If you want to have a good basketball program, this is what goes into it.
That's a great word, be a stakeholder. Okay, so 2 big events coming up. 505sports.org, putting them on the 505 Sports Venture Foundation. Your tip-off dinner, and then the next day is your fundraiser golf tournament. The tip-off dinner on the 26th, the golf tournament on the 27th, Fusion ABQ 6 to 8 p.m. for the tip-off dinner. The next day, 1:30 for the shotgun start at Santa Ana Golf Club. Go to golobos.com/tip-off dinner, and you can register for both of those. These are 2 very important events, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're growing. I mean, I think that's, NIL is like a startup company. It's not going to be at its height right away. And I think the goal, like our basketball program going from 13 wins to 22 to 26, will we pass 26? I don't know. That's a lot of wins. But, you just want to build and you want to show growth. And I think what, they've been able to do, the crowds have gotten bigger every year. The number that we fundraise has gotten better every single year. So the beauty of it now, at first, the athletic department wasn't really able to help. And now we're able to kind of work together because I think the concern when we first started was, well, I'm taking from Booster X, I'm taking away from Lobo Club, or I'm taking away from this. And we need it all. We just do. And it stinks to be able to ask our people of that. But again, it just comes down, if you want to compete at the highest level, this is necessary.
I think the analogy that I like best with regard to NIL and the fundraising for the athletic department, these are 2 things that are on 2 tracks running right next to each other in parallel, heading toward the same goal. And if you can look at it that way, contributing to both, that's what helped make the Mountain West Championship happen last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a part of it now. Is it the reason that we win? I don't think it is, but you are not going to compete at the level that you need to. Like, it's just like, I'm not going to work for free. You know what I mean? Is it all about money? No. Like, I've had opportunities that have had more money and I've turned them down because I believe in this basketball program and the job, but it's got to be market value. And for whatever the reason is, it's the responsibility sometimes of other people besides the athletic department. So, but we do want, we want our stakeholders, so to speak, to feel a part of it. Really do. And I think we showed that, if we build a competitive team, that we can go win at a high level. Okay,
let's circle back to preseason preparation. What do the practices before official practice begins 40 days prior to the start of your season? What do these workouts look like right now?
A good amount of skill work to start. Putting in kind of our offensive system. I don't love, you get 4 hours on the court with them over the summer. I wish they would ramp that up in the fall, and then when September 24th hits, I think that's going to be our first day of practice, then you get more hours. I don't love how it's the same, but we've been kind of the hard part is you got recruiting, you've got fundraising, you've got practice, you got all these things, and I always say September is my least favorite month. Now, once October hits, everybody kind of leaves you alone and you can really practice. But, just kind of building a foundation, and you don't have a lot of time on the court, but it's better than none. You used to have no time on the court. So every year now, coaches are starting over. We do have some pieces from last year, but we have a lot of new faces. So just teaching terminology, getting them in great shape, making sure they're going to class, understanding those standards as well, building those championship habits.
I'll tell you one thing that was really cool to see during your summer practices was a full gym. You've got a full complement of players this year.
Yeah, we have a lot of them. We have 16, and that'll be the biggest roster we ever have. Now there's talk of rules changing. We're going to get 15 or whatever. I don't like having that. I don't have a big staff. I probably have one of the smallest staffs in the Mountain West. I like less people doing more. And especially now in the landscape of everything, you can't keep 16 players happy. You just can't. And I don't desire to keep them happy. I guess I don't want them to not be happy, but my desire is to build a program that wins championships. And there's always going to be guys that don't like their role, and that's okay. But, we've got 3 walk-ons who think they should play, and they're good players. And then we've certainly got 13 scholarship guys. So competition's great. It makes for some interesting practices, but our players probably don't understand it. But having that fear of losing playing time is good for them. I think as you get older, fear of failure drives you a little bit and motivates you. So they're pushing each other. They're working hard.
I want to get to the roster and the new challenges for your returning guys and the new faces, and we'll do that. But let's first talk about this amazing schedule that you've put together. The opener with Nichols, but then I see UCLA, St. John's, Arizona State, USC, or St. Mary's, the rivalry game with New Mexico State. This is a good one.
Yeah, you kind of glossed over Nichols State.
I know.
Like you really bashed them. That was very nice of you. You don't have a lot of respect for them. I don't know much about Nichols State, but I did it. Now, I thought JT was coming back, and then he decided to tell us on the last day of the portal. But I thought I just looked at this program and thought, okay, we have an upward trajectory, right? I mean, you go 13 wins, 22 wins, 26, Mountain West tournament champs. Your attendance is growing every single year. And I just felt like our stakeholders, so to speak, deserve this. They deserve to have a coach who's trying to schedule for an at-large bid. It's going to be very, very hard. We lost 3 really important players. But obviously conference realignment has changed, but we had 6 teams in the NCAA tournament last year. So I just feel like our people deserve this. They deserve to be engaged right from the start. Our program deserves to have these quad 1, quad 2 opportunities early, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So, who knows? I mean, I think we're going to be better, after we play UCLA, win or lose. We're going to be better when we go to St. John's. But it's cool I've got a lot of people coming up to me and saying, let me know where to go to dinner in New York. And I mean, that's I feel like this is one of the best basketball situations in the country. And not that I don't like football. I love football, but it's few and far between these programs that really, really care about basketball, and we got to make sure we stay engaged with them.
One of the questions that fans ask a lot, and I'm sure they would love to hear your thoughts on it, and there are arguments on both sides. You've transitioned to just one matchup with the rival down south rather than the home and home. What's your thinking on that?
Well, it wasn't my decision. I think both parties were aligned because of going 20 games.
And that's 20 games with a conference schedule.
So Coach Hooten's going to Conference USA. They got 20. We've got 20 as well. So it really wasn't a whole lot to do with them. If you had my vote on it, I like playing them once better. I mean, Kentucky-Louisville is one of the best rivalries in all of college basketball. It's once. So I think once our fan base – now I think it's only a 2-year deal, so who knows if it changes with new administration or whatever. But my preference would be to do that just so we can be as creative and as aggressive in non-conference scheduling. So it doesn't have a whole lot to do with New Mexico State, more so the freedom to be able to do some other things.
We will get to realignment because that is a big issue, but the 20-game conference schedule, I know that you were a proponent of that, right?
I was until we got 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. And then I think when we all started it, I do believe it's the right thing to do. But why, and then I say, well, why are we messing with it when we had 6 teams? But I think it'll be better. San Diego State was always the one that fought it. San Diego State has the luxury of having teams that can drive to them. We do not. Every non-conference opponent that we have besides New Mexico State, maybe UTEP would be a flight. So budget-wise, it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. So I thought it made a whole lot of sense. We'll see. Obviously now that bomb was dropped on conference realignment and so on. So who knows? Maybe we go back. Maybe we change. But the trajectory for men's basketball in the Mountain West had never been higher until all the administrators and presidents ruined it with all this football realignment stuff. But part of the deal, and I understand it.
So tell us who made the first call in terms of the Lobos and St. John's. Did Dad reach out to you? Did you reach out to him?
No, I reached out to him,
okay.
Yeah. He came here with Iona. We had a return game that never happened because of he took St. John's. But I reached out to him. We weren't even going to do it. But honestly, I thought our program was starting to improve. You know, we were top 25 in the net. We were becoming less desirable to play in the non-conference. So I thought St. John's is going to be a quad one, although I don't even want to say quads anymore. After that whole net nonsense, I don't even want to discuss it. But I knew it was going to be a quality game on the road. I felt like that would be harder for us to get. So I'm excited about it. I really am. And not the whole narrative that's really annoying is who your dad versus like enough of that. But I think it's going to be great for our program and great for our fans to go play Madison Square Garden more than anything. And it is a quality opportunity. I mean, St. John's is going to be preseason top 20 in the country.
I've got another schedule question, and I want to get to it. But you touched on something I've got to follow up because it did seem like nonsense. At the end of last season, the emphasis on the net and the quad one wins and the quad two wins and stacking your chips and all those things. And it seemed like the Lobos were positioned absolutely to be in at large. And then closer to the end of the regular season and then through the postseason, it changed somehow. What the heck is going on with the net?
Well, one, we made the tournament, so we're all complaining about something that we shouldn't complain about, but I think we're all trying to figure it all out.
We're wondering about it.
And I just it did not a lot of it makes sense to me. And I think when we had these Zooms with committee members, when we have Mountain West meetings, and they were all very gracious with their time, and it is still very, very much up to that person. And I just think we need to get away from that. You know, I mean, I think we have too much data. We have too much metrics. In my opinion, I think we were 22nd in the net, right? We should have been an 8 seed. That's the way I look at it. And I know it's hard with some at-large teams and so on. So I'm not complaining about seeds or anything like that, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So I would, if the NCAA is going to continue with that, stop with the net. And I think all the coaches need to stop, and all the SIDs need to stop putting out we're this in the net. Like, that is crap now, and that's cool. Like, no big deal. So it just – the goalposts keep getting moved, which is frustrating. But I'm happy we made the NCAA tournament more than anything. And what benefits you more than anything is a quality – conference, and to have 6 teams in, and I'm frustrated with realignment certainly, but like credit to those 6 programs, those coaches and those players to continue to build and capitalize off of this.
No, you do make a great point though about the selection process. If you can have all these metrics, lean into it, or you're going to use the human element. Let's not have all the metrics if you're just going to have a group of people in a room make a decision. It makes perfect sense.
And I mean, I'm happy we won a championship. We did that with one of our best players sick. So it's good talk. It's good fodder, I guess, but it just I'm going to try very hard this year not even to pay attention to it. So hopefully in my press conferences, you don't hear the word net come out of me or the quads and all that. I just want quality win opportunities on our schedule.
You'll get asked about it.
No, I can deflect. I'm pretty good at
that. Back to the schedule.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for getting the Lobos to Palm Springs in November in a great MTE where Arizona State, USC, and St. Mary's are the other participants. You talked about improving the MTE that the Lobos were in.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is we had to build a program that an MTE like that would want to be a part of, because St. Mary's has really built a very good program. USC is a brand. Arizona State is a brand, especially out west. We had been in Vegas a lot. It was getting a little annoying, honestly. And so we really wanted either California, Phoenix, something like that. I mean, the travel part is, for us, if we can do it right and stay out west, that's important, and get fans there. It's a beautiful venue. It's 2 really good opportunities. So kind of what we had envisioned came true. Hopefully we don't look back as it pertains to MTEs. I think St. John's, UCLA, VCU, those are all ambitious scheduling. Who knows if we continue in that route, but hopefully we always have a really quality MTE.
Speaking of UCLA and Vegas, you're not completely going away from Vegas. An individual game in a neutral site in Henderson, Nevada. How did that come about?
Mick Cronin's a good friend of mine. if you can get one of the best brands in all of basketball and you can play them, we're going to do it. So I think I saw him on the road recruiting, and we both kind of brought up we need one more game, and we were both like, hey, why don't we do this? I mean, it's as I said before, like, we've got a fan base that really cares, and so to deliver to them on a Friday night in November, college basketball, I'm going to try very, very hard to do that. So another great opportunity, and it may look a little different. I don't know if we're going to go – we've only lost one non-conference game in the last 2 years. I don't know if it's going to be that, but our team will absolutely be better playing teams like UCLA.
Okay, the elephant in the room today is definitely conference realignment. You've talked a little bit about it, but let's dig into it a little bit deeper, because reality, and it hit everybody hard last week. If you and I sit down to do this 2 years from now, the Mountain West will look different. What does the future look like for the Lobos in basketball? And conference realignment is such a big deal right now.
I don't want to sound selfish, but I'm the basketball coach, so I'm going to talk basketball specific. All of these decisions are being made. Everybody says football, football, football. Certainly football is one of the reasons. But when you look at why we're not in that conversation, I think it's really two things. I think it's budget. We're 9th of 11th in the budget in the Mountain West. Whose fault it is, I don't know. I'm not trying to blame anybody. Is it state funding, school, athletic department? Like, those are things I can't really focus on. I'm a basketball coach. But I do know if we want to be a player, we've got to have a higher budget than 9th of 11th in whatever conference that we're in. As it pertains to basketball, yes, it's extremely frustrating, because I've been in this league 3 teams, 6 teams. I felt as though we were trending to be the marquee basketball conference in the West. I really feel like when we go against recruiting, maybe UCLA, maybe Arizona, maybe Gonzaga are going to be tough to beat out, but I feel like we can compete with all those other ones, and I still feel like we will. Will the Mountain West look different? Will we be there? Will we not? I have no idea. But what I do know is, for those basketball fans that care about basketball in a landscape where all they seem to be making decisions about is football, fine, let them do that. That's understandable. We will still be relevant if we continue to get 15,000, we continue to get that NIL support, we continue to get that community support. We'll be fine as a basketball program. Like, I truly believe that. Gonzaga has built one of the best programs in all of college basketball. They've done it in a 1-bid. It's evolved into a 2-bid league with St. Mary's, but I don't know, maybe 3 at the most. So, like, we are a situation that loves college basketball. As long as we continue to have that investment, regardless of what we're in, we'll be fine. But investment is everything. It really is. And it's that number, whatever that budget is, and maybe it's the state, maybe it's whatever, like, it's got to go up if we want to be in that conversation, the Pac-12. We're not in that conversation right now. I don't care what anybody says. We're not. And that's not just football's fault. I think everybody always says, oh, our football team's not good. So, like, first of all, Coach Mendenhall is going to absolutely get that thing going, but it's not his total responsibility. If you love the Lobos, if you care about any of the sports, just continue to invest, because if you do want to be in that conversation at some point, that's going to be the key.
Fantastic points. I do want to follow up on something you mentioned, because I think a lot of the angst for fans, looking at what you've already referenced, 6 bids last year in the Mountain West. 2 years from now, 4 of the top brands in the league will be gone. Could this be a 1-bid league? But you reference Gonzaga and being able to have that national profile in a league where maybe you're only getting 1 or 2 bids. Provided resources are there, investment is there, it can be done, right?
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. I mean, I would argue 3 of the top basketball brands. Obviously, Fresno's more of and their coach will certainly build it, but they haven't had the consistent basketball success. But Boise, Colorado State, and San Diego State certainly have. Again, as I said before, when you're looking at basketball, as long as the investment doesn't go away, whether it's the athletic department, whether it's those stakeholders, NIL, and so on, we'll be fine, because what we have is what money can't buy. Because every administrator, we're all doing it. So like we're not any better than anybody else, but as long as we're invested in basketball, we're going to win, like because we have a fan base that cares. There are a lot of teams that are jumping to all these conferences that would kill to have 15,000 fans going to their games. They just would. They would kill to have that feeling that I had when I went down the escalator when we won the Mountain West tournament and there's over 1,000 people in the airport. Like there are coaches out there, there are administrators who would kill for that. So it's going to evolve. It's going to change. We'll see where it all goes. But my biggest fight will be whoever is in charge here, whoever we're speaking to at the conference. Let's turn into that Gonzaga. But Gonzaga became Gonzaga because of a lot of financial investments, and let's not forget that. They really committed to it. Harder because we have football and we have a lot of sports, so we got to be able to understand that. I get that, but it could still absolutely be done here in basketball.
All right, let's talk about your roster as a final direction for our Lobo Pod. Very different construction from the championship squad from last season. It was a guard-dominated roster last year that went all the way through the tournament and went to the NCAAs after winning in Vegas. You've got a ton of bigs this year. What about the construction of your 24-25 roster?
For one, it's not very easy. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, but probably a first-team all-conference, maybe preseason player of the year decided on the last day of the portal to enter the portal, and we thought he was coming back. And that is not a knock on JT. There was a lot of things thrown at him that are very, very understandable of why he left. But we're recruiting in the fall, and we're trying to figure it out. Will this guy stay? Will this guy not? It's impossible. So we're trying to take as many good players as possible who are versatile. We had certainly made an effort to get a little bit bigger, but let's not forget playing those three guards won us 26 games. So we'll miss them. We will absolutely miss Jalen House, that energy. I mean, I think as time passes, we're going to realize Jalen was one of the best Lobos to play here in a long, long time. We will miss Mash's ability to make big shots. I mean, what he did in that first half versus San Diego State carried us. He led the conference scoring 2 years ago.
You won that game at Nevada on the road.
So losing JT is obviously going to make us look different. But we've got some really good pieces. We've got Donovan, who is as good of a passing point guard as I've ever coached. I think Nelly's going to have a really good year now that he's here. Think about this. Nelly last year did not get here until the end of October, and he still had a really good year. So he's been here. True, I think will make a jump. Mustafa's got experience as well, and then the new guys we brought in. So it'll look different, but I kind of think it's going to look different every single year just because of everybody's a free agent right now.
Coach, this has been awesome. Appreciate your time. Our first visit on the Lobo Pod. Best of luck in 24-25.
All right, thank you.
Richard Pitino, Lobo men's basketball coach, our guest on the Lobo Pod.
The Lobo Pod is a production of UNM Athletics.